All right, guys, we're out on the water here this morning. We're out on Kentucky Lake, idling around, looking around, and I wanted to give everybody kind of an idea on what's going on out here the last month or so. It's been a little while since I've checked in, and wanted to give you kind of a quick update on the lake, what I'm seeing out here. I'm out on the water just about every day right now, so everybody's question is, are the schools showing back up? Is the ledge fishing going to get better? It's been pretty encouraging, honestly, the last few weeks. A good bit of bait is starting to show up out on some of the deeper holes out on the river, some on the secondary, and that's one thing that over the last few years that the lake has really struggled with is the lack of bait fish, the lack of gizzard, threadfin. And you've followed any of my reports, you've seen that there's a good shad spawn every year. We've got these, what the biologists say are just little emerald shiners, and you'll come out here early in the morning and you'll see them up on the bank. And if there's a piece of cover in the water or a dock or the water willow grass or anything like that, that bait is up there around it, and those fish are up there chasing it around. But the good thing is, I've seen, if you're out here early in the morning and then late in the evenings, during those prime feeding times when the fish are more active, I have seen a good bit of gizzard shad getting chased. You'll see stuff after them. Big gizzard shad, skipping out of the water and stuff after them. And one thing that I've noticed too is the abundance of white bass that I'm noticing this year. And everybody knows that the lake has been kind of going through a bad down cycle here the last few years, but it's very encouraging to see the whites showing back up. The last few years, we didn't see any white bass to speak of, in those big schools. And you'll see them running some, but as far as showing up on places where they always have historically been, right there with those bass, I'm seeing a lot more of that this year. So the bait fish is finally kind of starting to make its way out deep. There are some fish that are showing up in schools, whereas the last couple of years, last year I don't think I ever made a cast offshore, just to be brutally honest with you. If they're not out there by the first or second week of June, I quit looking myself. But if you're good with your electronics, you can get out there and you can find stuff. Seeing a lot less carp than what I have in the past. Still a good many carp out here. That's no secret. Everybody knows that the carp are an issue. They're in the lakes. They're in the lakes for a while, unfortunately. But I'm seeing less of them every year. It seems like the commercial fishermen, they're doing a really good job of getting a lot of those things out of here. But bait fish is coming back. There's a few fish showing up in schools. It seems like the real deep stuff that the fish started to get on, as the lake kind of started going downhill. They're not really getting out on that real deep stuff, that 25-30 foot deep stuff where we used to catch them really deep. Now, I'm not saying quit looking out there. You'll find some every now and then out there, but the majority of the fish seem to be up on that shallower stuff, around shallower cover, and I think that's kind of where I'm seeing most of the bait. So if you get out there idling around, looking around, get up in that 12 to 15 foot range and start looking around, and that's usually where you'll find your bait fish, and that's usually where you'll find your fish. And don't go out there looking for 25 plus fish in a school. It's not going to happen. I mean, I'm not saying that somebody hasn't found that, because there's probably a few places out here where there are a few of those bigger schools out here. But if you see 8 or 10, you better stop. You see 4 or 5, you better stop. But get out here, idle around, look around with your electronics. You can spend some time out here and you can find a few fish. Still far from what it used to be, but it's encouraging to see the bait fish showing up. It's encouraging to see a few fish showing up back in schools. So just wanted to give you kind of an update on what's going on out here offshore. If you're looking for numbers, you can catch fish up shallow. We've had a couple of big major mayfly hatches over the last week or two, and you can take a little popper, get up early in the morning, especially if you have a night where you had a major mayfly hatch the night before. You can get out here with a popper, a little small swim bait. I throw a little Divine 3.2, 3.8 swim bait on a 3/16 ounce jig head a lot this time of year. Like I say, those little bait fish that have spawned and come out, they're starting to get in schools. You see those a lot up on they're up on the banks early in the morning. You also see them starting getting up around docks. So if you get out here and you're looking for numbers, and you won't catch a lot of big fish, you can catch some decent bags. There's been some tournaments won shallow here recently, but keep in mind, Kentucky Lake has a whole lot more to do than just ledge fishing. In the summertime, I made a living last summer on the bank. Believe it or not, you can catch fish shallow year round out here. They just live up there. Like I say, you may not catch the quality that we're used to seeing, but unfortunately the quality is not here like it used to be either. You know, there's still some good fish in this lake, but for the most part, those fish are up on that mayfly hatch. They're chasing that bait around. Popar, a little swim bait, a swim jig. One thing I haven't talked about is the water willow, the grass that grows up on the bank. Find more of it on the west side than I do over here on the east side, and just get on the, you know, it's just fish a swim jig around it. Fish are going to start getting on bluegill here before long. They get off that bait and they start keying in on bluegill, and those bluegill will get up and they'll chase the mayflies around. They'll also get up around the docks, and those big largemouth will pull up there and start chasing those out. So swim jig, you know, the Divine swim jig I throw a lot, and like a bluegill color, and then always have a shad color for those low light conditions. And sometimes they'll stay on that shad color all day long, but it seems like the overcast days, the whites are a lot better. That's kind of it, you know. The main lake stuff has been hit or miss. The one thing that I've noticed a lot is that if you do find some, they're not wanting to stay put. They're roaming around a lot. The bait's moving a lot. The fish are moving a lot. But if you're looking for numbers, go to the bank. If you're looking for quality and you'd like to catch them every cast, you know, on a spot, you can spend daylight to dark, and you might find that one or two schools that want to bite and play, and you can have a ball with them. But you may scan daylight to dark and never find a school too. So it's hit or miss, far from what it used to be. The good news is it's encouraging to see the bait getting back out there, a few fish starting to show up. We're heading in the right direction. In the next few years, you know, we'll be back to square one. May not ever see the days that we used to, but it's encouraging to see anyway. But if anybody wants to get on the water, I've got days available. You know, we're going into almost the 1st of July here. I've got days available in July. I've got my electronics classes, my Laurent stuff going on. We offer everything right there at High Tech Outdoors. Matt, Tony, all the guys up there at High Tech. We also offer Garmin electronics classes. We do Humminbird as well. But if you want to get out on the water, book a trip, hit me up, info@brandonhunterfishing.com, and I'll see you guys on the water.